What's going on, everybody? My name is Andrew, and today Ping, Skylar, and I are going to be discussing how you, as a real estate investor, can manage multiple flip projects at the same time. You've obviously done a lot of projects, and I think when most people think about flipping houses, they tend to do one project at a time, and a lot of people also start putting in sweat equity. They're very involved. They cost down by shopping a lot.
Yeah.
But when you're doing multiple projects, you obviously can't do that. The game changes a little bit. So
Yeah.
what do you think is the key to managing multiple flip projects at the same time?
It is easy to get dragged in to the project itself, especially when you do one at a time. You seem like you're always there. Maybe you don't go in and you just drive by, but you're always involved day-to-day operation of the flip. So it is easy to get dragged in. The key, and what I always tell myself is, because I'm the type of person that I do want to be there every day. It's not a trust thing. My guys are great, right? It's just that I feel the need. There's so much capital that I feel that I'm the only one that can protect that capital. It is easy to get dragged in, but you do need to have some distance, and it does help on the finished product. It is easier to tell mistakes when you only go in there once a week.
And why do you say that?
It's the same thing as like a dog, right? When you get a puppy, you don't know how big the puppy is until it's fully grown, and then you see some photos. It's the same thing with a house. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You can't tell the mistakes when you're there every day. You get accustomed to the house, right? You think the painting's perfect. But if you're there, once a week, and then you walk in, oh, they missed that drywall hole. They should have caulked this. You know what I mean? It's easy to find all these little mistakes, right? And the way that I learned that is someone like Andrew. We used to walk in right when we about to put the for sale sign in the ground. Andrew doesn't really come that often. And then all of a sudden, text me a long list of things that he touched up on. And I'm like, there's no way you walked in the same house that I just finished.
And I think that's a bit of an issue with the mindset, right? Because sometimes when you're in the operation, it's a little hard to actually do the audit. How do you audit your own work, right?
Yeah.
You're obviously trying to do the perfect job within the scope of work.
Yeah.
You can't really assess your own work,
When you're in
when you're in there or from a
Yeah.
third-party perspective, right? So that's why sometimes it is really important to walk through the projects for the work that's being done by other people.
The argument people will have against that is that the devil's in the details. You have to manage your project. You have to go there and look at it, but not really realizing that when you are there, you're not actually paying attention to as many details because you're kind of blinded because you have those blinders on. You start looking at specific things and you're not taking a step back to look at everything that's going on and maybe missing the bigger picture because you're focusing on only certain details. So you're really not seeing much.
I totally agree with that.
And by the way, there's a one management method called PDCA. It's plan, do, check, and act. I think this program was designed by the Japanese company, actually. So what it means is that people who are doing the planning shouldn't be doing the doing part, right? People who are doing the planning should be doing the checking and the acting part. And then the last part is that we're acting / maybe adjusting. Whoever that's doing the planning is going to check on the work, is going to come up with the new ideas to adjust the plan when it's needed. But people who are doing it is supposed to just fully concentrating on the execution side. And I think that method really applies to a lot of things that we're doing on a daily basis as a real estate investor, because if you're the contractor, you spend so much time on working on the details, and sometimes you do lose sight of the prioritizing the more important things in a full project.
Yeah, and that definitely happens with timelines, right? The contractor always gives you a timeline,
Yeah.
but then they don't think about those little details, right? And those little details take forever.
There seems to be a growing pattern that people go through in order to come to these conclusions, right? Or to be able to even execute what you're just talking about, because people end up doing some of the planning part and then end up finding that in the execution, they hire a contractor, but then they double their role as a contractor. They end up becoming like a secondary contractor, not realizing that you're not really supposed to take that role. You're supposed to manage someone else to take that role.
Yeah.
And that is one of the keys to scaling up. So it really has to do with control. How much control you're trying to exercise versus how much control you're trying to manage.
When you say control like that, it seems like you're on the day-to-day operation when you have control of the property, right?
Yeah.
The contractor has control of the property,
Of
right?
the renovations.
Of the renovations.
Yeah.
You have control of your budget.
Control the money.
Control the money, right?
Yeah.
And then when there's mistakes, right? When you only do your walkthrough every week, that's when you can catch all his mistakes or the touch-ups that need to happen. It should be that clean when you talk about doing 4 or 5 flips at one time.
So let's quickly talk about how you used to manage the crew versus how you're managing the crew right now. Because obviously before you were like coordinating a lot of trades, you're
Yeah.
even like coordinating the supply runs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now your work seems a lot more simpler, and which allows you to really scale up to like managing multiple different renovation jobs.
Before I used to drive like an F-250 with an 8-foot box because I needed to pick up supplies. I wasn't really the best guy to pick out the supplies, I like to follow a pattern. The contractor should really be doing that stuff. And again, that's something that Home Depot will deliver your supplies for, I don't know, $20, $50, right? And there I am, you know what I mean, taking 2 or 3 hours going through Home Depot with one of those stupid carts, and you always pick the wrong cart. There's 3 different types of carts at Home Depot.
Yeah.
There's a shopping cart, there's a thing with pipes on it, and then there's a push trolley thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And there you are pushing these things around, getting multiple carts, getting all this drywall.
Yeah, getting drywall in a shopping cart. Yeah.
It's tempting though, because what ends up happening is there are some contractors, some trades who will say, are you delivering supplies or am I picking up the supplies? Because contractors will charge you for it. And sometimes it feels bad when you go and you know that you would have to pay contractors, guys, let's say 2 of them, $25 an hour each, $50 to go do 3 hours of shopping because you need 2 guys to load drywall.
And I'm totally the cheap guy when it comes to when I get those invoices and I see a line by line item. You know, I just saw one for paint, supplies for paint. It was like $1,500. I'm like, I'll go pick up the paint. My mindset now is that it feels great that I can just sign the invoice, deal with it.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to think about it.
It's
I
higher
don't
level.
want to. You know, Sherwin-Williams had a paint shortage a year ago. I had to call all the Sherwin-Williams. It was just, you know, I don't want to think about it. $1,500, pick up the paint. You know what I mean? We're doing 4 projects at once. We are trying to make money on the sale of the property. We're not trying to make money on the renovations.
You're not trying to focus on the costing down all the
Yeah.
time, right? Try to figure out how to make more margin instead of like costing down.
There is a couple things that I do buy and give to the contractors: the kitchen faucets and the bathroom faucets. My pet peeve is that people install tubs, and you got to install like the overflow kit when you install the tub. Well, it comes with a chrome overflow kit. Every tub does.
Yeah.
So everybody installs the chrome overflow kit. But we're doing black faucets and black shower heads and a black curtain rod, and then there's this chrome overflow drain kit.
Yeah.
Right? So when you know what I mean? These are things that I'm buying. I'm buying you the black drain. No excuses. We're doing it. Same with the faucet. Same with the pot filler, right? Because I don't want them to go pick out, you know, there is some ugly faucets.
Right, you're controlling the product basically.
Yeah, the finishings. The finished look.
And I want it standard. You know, I use the same kitchen faucet on all the projects.
Yeah.
Same pot filler on all the projects. Same, you know, shower faucets on all the projects.
Okay, so you basically only cost on the things that are sort of predictable. You know these things definitely need to go into the property, so you don't need to rely on them to pick them up.
It is easy to tell the contractor that, you know, hey, I want the walls white, I want gray flooring, I want white tile in the bathroom, white backsplash, white kitchen cabinets, right? They can't mess that up. If you tell them black faucets and black handles, you ever go to Home Depot and look at the faucet? There's a whole wall of faucets, a whole wall.
Yeah.
Right? They could pick any one of those ugly ass kitchen restaurant faucets with the big thing that comes down. You know what I mean? So let me just buy the faucet. Take that off your plate. No mistakes. I don't want to get upset. My mindset is like, if I could just have like an easy day where I don't have to get mad, that's good. So I'll buy the kitchen faucet so I don't have to get mad.
Right, less aggravation. Okay, question for you. So how are you holding the contractors accountable right now? Because there's a lot of people, a lot of investors out there who are trying to coordinate a renovation job. They hire a wrong contractor or wrong trades, and then all of a sudden they would just say, okay, now I'm going to be losing money on this because of the wrong hire, right? How do you actually hold people accountable?
You got to use the money. So set up your payment structure with your contractor, right? Let's say we're doing $100,000 to the contractor. The deposit, $10,000. And we'll do a checkpoint, you know, quarter way done the job, then I'll give you another $20,000. That's how you keep them accountable, right? They have to meet the checkpoints. Think about it as a city inspector, what a city inspector would do. They do their checkpoints. Do the same way with your money. Don't give them 50% up front. Why would he come to work next day? He bought a case of beer and put all his money on Bet365. There's no way he's coming to work tomorrow. Give him $10,000. Give him something to work for. Same way when you get a day job. You need to come to work to get the paycheck. It has to be the same way with your contractor.
Okay, so it's more for like a scope of work responsibility. Like you need to hit certain benchmark before you can release the next payment. How do you handle the timeline issue then?
Timeline issues is hard because you do want a finished product that is perfect. And rushing these small little things greatly impact the finishing product that these guys put 5 months of work into. And it is a big problem that we have had in our past projects. You know, when we first started doing this house on the mountain. I didn't really know what I was doing. And it was the same thing. It was like paint, floor, kitchen, bathroom, very simple stuff. Now we're doing gold faucets and we're doing these waterfall islands and we're, you know, putting wine fridges in the island and a blue island, and you know what I mean? Our house flipping, I think, is just on a next level now. Maybe we got a little complacent on the ARV, that when we see an ARV of 700,000, we can reach that. We know we can reach that. Let's be the number one house on the block. Let's reach it. So I think that's when the finishes take the contract's been over a month, right? My thing is when holding them accountable, and I do, and I know I just said that, you know, I don't drive by and I only go in a week. The houses that we buy are in Hamilton. I live in Hamilton. I manage a business in Hamilton. I'm always driving around. So I do drive around often. And when I drive around and I don't see anybody in that house, that's when I get a little upset. It's different though when I drive and there's people in the house and I
Yeah.
know they're working.
You want to be
Right.
at least like, notified when the crew is not there.
Well, it also tells you that you're not being prioritized. And that's where control at a distance, right? Control of the situation, not control of every little detail. Tackling a problem like there's nobody there. Or tackling a problem like I want these handful of finishes at the property. Like saying, okay, I'm only going to buy a few faucets, and it's like the standard list of things every time.
Yeah.
That's like easy to control.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you don't have now a bunch of little things that you have to control of. Control the budget, control whether the timeline, and control a few of the finishing products. That seems simple.
Yeah, because if he doesn't do that, the contractor doesn't do that, he's not getting paid. It's not up to me. Like, ball's in your court, pal. And you brought up that people, you know, hire a contractor, they don't finish a job, they probably give him a huge deposit, and then they flaked off. Well, this way, if my contractor flakes off, I owe him 35% of the contract when it's done. Right, so he gets a huge check when it's done. So if he wants to flake off now, see ya, buddy, because there's only a little bit of stuff left, and I'm going to save a huge chunk of money.
And by the way, there's one incentive program that you designed for holding people accountable for their deadline, right? Like the sort of like compensate them if they actually finish early. Small penalty if they go over time. Like, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it started off being a crazy number of $500 a day, right? Where you're over, I'm charging you $500 a day. I do like to think of myself as a nice guy, and I knew I was being a little bit pushy, and I put back there that, hey, listen, because, you know, I work with these contractors all the time. There's already jobs scheduled for the next one. I know he's late on this one, but for the next one, let's maybe finish early. And if you're early, then I'll give you $500 a day. The $500 a day, though, is a little bit stern, and I changed it to a week, right? $500 a week every time you're late. When the contractor's there and he's been there, and now I feel bad because he's trying.
But I think that's a really good way to motivate people to actually finish earlier, right? Because they know that if they can organize their day or their crew properly, they're getting compensated if the work gets done earlier.
Yeah, the contractor's taking on other jobs, right? Sure, he may just work for me, right? But you think about your contractor, he's taking on other jobs, and then probably small jobs. A lot of contractors don't do huge house renovations. They specialize in bathrooms, or they specialize in kitchen, or they specialize in flooring.
Yeah, little
Right?
ones in and out.
So they're taking these little ones, in and out ones that last a week while they're doing your job, and they may take their tiler and their number one contractor off the job to do this bathroom and leaving them shorthanded. They're not going to do that if it's, you know, $500 a day, right? They're not taking the bathroom job. Oh, we'll do the bathroom job after we're done this guy's house.
It kind of does force them to prioritize things, especially if you're doing house flips routinely, regularly, and you're giving them multiple jobs. There should be some accountability, and you should share in the problems, right?
Yeah.
A little bit at least, right?
Yeah.
It's not always going to be the contractor's fault, and there's a degree of discretion. Like, you might have seen something that happened, extra work came up, there's a delay. Things are reasonable, but when you see that he's simply taking another job because he wants to make some extra money, and taking his crew away from your job, now putting him on something else, and that's costing you
That's a
extra
problem.
money. That's
That's a
now
problem.
where you want to start exercising some
That's a
kind of,
problem.
incentive programs, right?
Yeah.